Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining this webinar, 7 critical mistakes your sales team is making. So I want to make this a bit interactive. So feel free to put any comments, notes in the chat. I'd love to make it so it's more of a conversation. I do have an agenda, but because it's a smaller group, I want to tackle some specific questions that you might have. So my background, so there's some context. I started my company 10 years ago, bootstrapped it with $800. I don't have a formal degree in business. I'm a hustler. I've worked really hard, made a lot of mistakes, and I keep going. My superpower is persistence. I don't accept no, because every no will ultimately get you to a yes, most of them. And we'll talk about that as well. So please, if you could take a minute and just put down any questions, anything at all that you want me to chat about, I'd love to try to tackle it and help you guys out. So these 7 mistakes, they're really fundamental, but these are the mistakes that I've made for many, many years. And I see people making these mistakes every single day. So if you pick up just one of these 7 and apply them, it's going to make a radical difference in your business and doing sales. So the first one is my favorite one. I've been talking about it a lot with a lot of people recently, which is the mistake is you're not targeting your perfect customer, your dream client, your avatar. And I've wasted so much time when I was first starting my business because I didn't realize, well, I knew that there were these, I'm from Chicago, so I knew that there was these tall skyscrapers in downtown, but I didn't realize that there was hundreds and thousands of businesses in all these buildings and I should target them. But instead I was targeting the local car shop because I could visibly see these buildings. I would visibly walk into places where I had a pathway to get into. It was just not, I didn't have the logic to go into a big corporate building. And plus you can't get through the gatekeepers there. You have to be an employee. And so the first thing you want to do is make sure that before you start calling people, you start prospecting, you start emailing people and building out Facebook funnels or your website copy, the first step is to nail down who your perfect audience is. Everything that you do starts from that. So it's your avatar. If you don't describe every little thing about this person, you want to be very specific. The broader you are, the more time you'll waste talking to people that are not a good fit for you. So I'll give you an example for our business. So my company is zswag.com and we make branded merchandise. Our mission is to create memorable, joyful brand experiences for companies. And we do that through providing merchandise that's custom for companies that want to onboard their staff remotely. It's for companies who want to celebrate anniversaries. It's to express gratitude. It's to acquire new business. By using products as a touch point. And I'll cover that a little bit, but I'm going to just share with you. And can I screen share here, Mike? Yeah, cool. So I'm going to go through this a little bit and I'll show you how detailed I have my avatar document, and feel free to screenshot. And if you want to, nothing here you can like steal per se, but you can get the general idea. So number 1, I name my avatar. Her name is Amy. I'm looking to work with Amy's all the time. And I call it our Amy ideal mouth-watering client. And I'll share my screen here and I'll show you what this doc says. If I can figure it out. Essentially, I've broken it into sections. So we have a section about what that dream avatar looks like. Why do they buy our products and services? What are their goals? What are their values? What are their challenges? What are their big pain points? What's Amy have to deal with? What's the stress at her desk every single day? What are the things that she objects to if I try to sell her my product? Maybe she already has a vendor. She doesn't want to buy swag from me. She says she has a guy, but she hasn't met this guy. So she doesn't know what she's missing out on, right? And so if you're selling, that's your perspective. Maybe they're getting really good pricing. Maybe they're in a contract with someone. So these are all their objections. So you need to understand what their objections are in advance and think through those so that you can address these before they even come up. Let me see if I could find it here.
Yeah, if you have the document open and then in the Zoom, you go to the share screen on the bottom of the window. and click on the
Yeah,
item.
I've got this in a software here. I found it. Cool. All right. So this is our avatar document. Now, this is a living, breathing document. We add to this and improve on it daily. Like every so often, I'm looking at this constantly. So every time I learn of a new objection from a client, I add to it. Every time I learn something else, I add to it. So like it's the simplest things. Who is our client? B2B. I want companies that are over 100 employees. Now, this doesn't mean I won't work with a company that has 20 employees. Heck yeah, I will. Like we're in a pandemic. Like our business like is hurt as well. We're growing, right? But we'll take clients that are smaller than that. But this is our dream clients. And you have to understand the distinguishment between your dream client and people you'll be okay to work with. I might be okay to take on a bunch of small clients until I get a bunch of bigger ones. And then maybe I don't want to deal with them or create a division for those or whatever else, however I want to handle that. But you can see a company that has a minimum of 3 million in revenue in 12 months, maybe has multiple locations or wants to expand. They're actively looking to invest in marketing. They care about culture and team. They don't request RFPs. They pay on time, ideally 100% upfront. They're easy to reach. Like I have so many clients, like we work so hard on projects, they're impossible to get a hold of. We love companies that are remote because we know that they need swag for their remote teams because they work from home. We love working with people that are educated about merchandise, so we don't have to talk to them about artwork files. We don't need to explain to them what a JPEG is. They know what it is. So now here are some reasons why they'll buy from us, because we're MBE certified. Maybe it's a large company that has incentives to work with small certified minority companies. Because they want to stand out. It's because they want to get new clients, because they're looking to add a unique touch point in their sales cadence. Maybe it's to just express gratitude during the holidays, or better yet, they create a unique gifting program where they're not fulfilling their annual holiday obligation of gifting. Instead, they're being more thoughtful and doing drips with their gratitude gifts, you could call it, throughout the year where it's least expected and you really impress them. Now, some of their goals and values could be they want to build a tribe of fans, right? Their challenges I've got listed out. Where do they live? Well, 90% of our clients are in the US and the rest are in Canada, but we ship worldwide. What are their objections? I've got those listed out. Here are where they're hanging out. HR groups, marketing conferences. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube. These are the places where I can find these people. This is where they hang out. And so I need to be sure I'm hanging out where they're hanging out. And that's where I'm going to rub shoulders with them. So industries, these are the industries that we serve. We've got some favorite ones, which are tech and tech software. I can make this more clear and put it to the top. What are they buying right now? Face masks, sanitizers, apparel for their teams, journals, fulfillment kits, like tons of swag boxes. Like that is something we sell a lot of, right? So essentially I'm painting that picture of what this customer looks like. You can call them Bob, Amy, Michelle, whatever you want to call them. We call our avatar Amy because we have an existing client named Amy and we love her. Amy is wonderful. She places an order once a week. She pays on time and they've got huge budgets. So what are their responsibility? Where do they gain information from? What tools do they use? So their payroll software, where do they log their knowledge? And then all the titles. So our titles that we really want to work with are head of people, VP of people, anything HR related, office managers, assistants, marketing, and then it just kind of filters down from there. But I have it broken down where I can take this document and hand it over to a new hire or to anyone really. If I were to hire a Facebook company, this is what I would send them. This would answer every question that they would spend an hour with you figuring out who your avatar is because they need to build out audiences. Well, this helps solve that for them. It makes it so clear. Here's exactly what we do. Here's what the problems are. And we make it clear. So this is the biggest mistake. So I think that if you can take this away, it would be a huge win for you. Cool, I'm gonna switch off of this. Get back to the screen. can figure that out. Let's see. I will say Zoom is not my favorite.
You'll say stop sharing.
Yeah, let's see it. Stop share. There it is. Perfect. Cool. So do you further segment your target, or do you have multiple Amy's? So when you look at that document, there are so many variations of Amy in there. So there's so many different titles that I have. The true Amy that I work with, weekly, she's an assistant. So that's that sub segment for that Amy. We have other Amy's that are CMOs that want to get involved with merchandise. And then we have other chief marketing officers that never want to talk about swag. That is beneath them. That is the office manager's job. Like, that's not important to them. They'll sign off on like design and things like that, but they don't care. They just don't realize the value in it. The best way to explain it is these huge companies, they recruit like the best developers because we have a shortage of developers. They pay them 150, 200 grand a year. They recruit them. They pay the recruiter 10%, 20% of that recruiting fee. And then they get no sort of inauguration into their company. They don't get branded. I mean, I'm from Chicago, and anywhere you're in the country, there are gangs everywhere. Gangs have their gang colors. They wear their blue, their red, whatever gang color, they represent themselves. Corporations have their own gang colors. My gang colors are gold, white, black, right? So you want to make sure that the point here is you have to educate your customers on the why. And these titles just range. We've had every single person purchase from us with every title here: designer, creative director, founder, CEO, partner. But we know who the best people are. It's in HR or in events or in the office. Cool. No more. If you have any more questions, just put them in there. I'm going to start going through these pretty quickly. All right. Mistake number 2, boring follow-ups. Each time you follow up with a prospect, do not do the same exact thing. It's not fun to always email people over and over again. Hey, did you get my last email? Hey, I want to make sure you saw my email. Hey, floating this up to the top of your inbox. Hey, I know you're busy. Like, it gets really bothersome. So each time you're thinking of doing a follow-up, you want to try to find a way to add additional value. So the way we do it at our company is when we're and the follow-ups always vary based off of the scenario. So if I want to follow up with a company that I sent a presentation to, and I don't want to say, hey, did you see my presentation? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, maybe they're busy, I manage how frequently I add those touch points and those follow-ups based on what they told me in our initial qualifying call, which will be one of our mistakes here that's coming up. But essentially, the follow-up has to add value. So what we do is we send a really unique product idea to them because we're in the product space, right? So how cool is it that I sent you another item as a touch point? Hey, Mike, thought I'd share this other cool item. Would love to get your thoughts on it. I'm not asking him about the previous thing. He knows it. This is an indirect way to just nudge him about the original thing. I just want him to respond. That's all I really want, is a reply. Another touch point could be, hey, I found this article. It's super relatable to what you guys are doing. I think you would love it. If I know that they're doing conferences online, I find a piece that's related to what they're doing, or find something in their space that maybe a competitor is doing. Hey, I found that your top competitor is launching this crazy conference. Like, I think this is something you should look into. I have some cool ideas if this is something you'd want to pursue. It doesn't have to be related to the top thing. You're just nudging them indirectly. So don't send super generic follow-ups. You can add another email or 2 or 4 emails in between a cadence, but don't make it the same exact thing. Don't make it super boring. One of the things that we also love to do is we sell swag, so we drop swag in the mail for them. That's a touch point. So after a lot of our meetings, we'll send something in the mail to let them know that we're grateful for the opportunity, right? Thanks for giving us this opportunity. We sincerely appreciate it, and we're looking forward to working with you. And we put a smile on their face. We follow our mission. We create joy. It's a memorable, joyful experience. We give them that off the bat, right? So if you want to do a handwritten card, if you want to do something, it's not about the product that you put in. It's about the message that goes with the product. It could be any product. It could be like a super low cost item, but it has high perceived value if you tie it with the messaging. Like we used to send hot sauce bottles in the mail to prospects to let them know we wanted to spice up their next marketing campaign. Let's add some heat to your next campaign. Let's spice it up. And so we would use all these play on words to really, really ignite that emotion in them. We also did chili pepper pens where it was a pen in the shape of a chili pepper with our logo and phone number on it. And we'd say something along the same lines. We've done tacos. If I have any here, we sent out these little tacos that say Z Swag. They're tacos, and then put a hot sauce bottle that's private labeled. And it's a cord organizer. When you open it up, it says, let's taco about swag, right? So we create humor and these memorable experiences through our messaging with products. Like this is very low cost. It weighs like nothing. It's so cheap to mail, probably $2 to mail this first class with the tracking number, but it helps you stand out. Now, depending on what your average ticket is, what you're selling, you're going to decide what you want to send, right? If your average ticket is like $10,000 and they qualified on your first call, you send them something nicer if you want, right? You don't want to make it look like it's a bribe. These are not gifts. These are just like touch points that we don't call them gifts. They're not presents. So that was the second mistake, boring follow-up. So create unique, memorable touch points. Number 3 is a lack of follow-ups. I'm guilty of this. Many times I have prospected and found this awesome Amy, and I've sent her an email, maybe I've called her, maybe I've left her a message, and I completely forgot about her. Or I followed up a few times and just kind of gave up. My best tip, if you're in sales, is don't bother reaching out to Amy if you cannot commit to at least touching her 9 times, a minimum of 9 times. If you're not going to touch her 9 times, don't even bother emailing. Don't contact her. It's like a waste of your time and you just look bad. So don't do it. So our cadences go from 9 touch points to 15. And if we're really desperate for them, they go up to 100. I followed up with people over 80 times, one person over 80 times. So it depends on how bad you want the business. I can tell you that 80 plus touch point is over $1 million account. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. It's worth it because it's $1 million in revenue I can get from them. So I'm going to keep following up with them. I'm going to send them presents. I'm going to work that cadence over a year, over 2 years. When their current vendor makes a mistake, we will be the first person to get a phone call. There's no question. So I can still build a relationship. I could provide indirect services that don't compete directly. So there's a lot of ways to work it. So make sure that you commit to doing at least 9 follow-ups. And my biggest tip for this is the second you hang up that phone call, send your follow-up. I'm going to just give you can steal this template from me. I'm going to share my screen in a quick second here. I'll show you my inbox and I'll show you what I do while I'm on calls with people. So share screen. If this is valuable to you, put yes so I know I'm on the right track. If not, I can go on to the next point. I want to just give you as much value as I can in our short time. Cool. So you guys can see my inbox, right? Cool. So this is a tool I use called Superhuman. You can use any email client. I just want to show you the script I use. So I basically have this pre-saved and this fills in. Now this is for my company specifically. You guys figure out what you need to collect while you're on the call. So let's just say I'm on the call with Mike and Mike has 100 employees. I'm going to make sure I put his name in here. We like to be a bit more casual. We sell swag. So it's, hey, Mike, not hi, Mike. Hey, Mike, thanks for your time today. I don't like that. All right. I figure out what his budget is. So I send him a recap of everything we spoke about. So now he knows that I know and I heard, and you guys should do this. It's a good tip for being on the call. Repeat what they tell you so that you're just acknowledge it by repeating it. So I always ask them, hey, what's the most important thing to earning your business? Boom, they tell me most important, Mike. Okay, creative and quality. So I'm just putting bullet points here. So their primary color is blue for Amplify. Cool. Imprint color probably is going to be white. Mike, let's pretend Mike said white. When did they need it? They need it in 3 weeks. A timeline, I could put 3 weeks, budget, like $50 a person. I'm putting all these details. So who's the authority? Who's the decision? So these two things I cut out of there. I don't let people see that. That's for me to move over to my CRM. All of this ends up going in my CRM, but essentially it helps me stay organized, lets the prospect know I care, and I followed up instantly. The minute I hang up the call, I send this email out. So I know all the stuff. Here's the requests I'm going to need from Mike. Hey, Mike, I need your logo in these formats. If you got Pantone colors, send them to me. What's your best mailing address? I want to drop something off for you. Hey, I asked for a referral because I know my stuff is really, really good. It's the best in the world. I think you should give me a referral before we've done business. So, and then everything under Z-Swag is everything that I've promised I'll do for them. So if I promise them I'm going to share ideas or send pictures, whatever it is, I fill this out and I send off that email. So this is a great way. So if you can build a habit of immediately sending off these follow-up emails, it'll make a world of difference for you and your team. And it'll help you stay organized. Now you know what to do. You got your own task list. You give them a task list. You take your task list, and now you have everything saved. Is this helpful?
I told you, he's a machine. Keep going, Z. We love it.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water.
Z, while you're sipping your water, I asked on that last slide about creating value. You said it perfectly towards the end, saying it's that cost benefit ratio. If it's $1 million account, yeah, spend some money, make sure you get it. But what if it's kind of a smaller account where you might not be able to send swag? So what are some other ways of creating value?
So it depends on your ticket value. So remember this, swag, don't assume swag is expensive. This might be $1, right? So if your order value is 2,000 or 1,000, do you think it's okay to send a thank you card that costs you 50 cents with a 49 cents, I don't even know how much stamps cost, 50-cent stamp, right? Less than $1. Maybe, right? So you've got to see what the lifetime value of that customer will be and what you want to drop off. Like, you don't have to drop off stuff in the mail if you don't want to. Of course, I'm going to preach that because I sell swag. Now, I don't think anyone here has 100 employees, so I'm not selling you anything, right? I'm just giving you recommendations of things that would work. It'll work at any scale. You can do it at any level, period. I know single person founders who send out swag because it does make a difference. Because it just makes them stand out. Everybody's sending emails. Everybody's calling. Everybody's texting. They're all doing the same thing. It's boring. What makes you stand out? Remember, all of your products and services are a commodity. All of them. The only thing that makes you different is your brand, period. Nail down your messaging and work on differentiating yourself through your brand. You do that by design. You do that by your voice. You do that by your messaging. You do that through technology. You do that through innovation. So find ways to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And like, think of brands like Tesla. Like, do they have competitors? You could say BMW, Lexus. I don't think so. I don't think they have any competitors. SpaceX, do they have any? No, I don't think so. Like, you want to find ways to differentiate your business so much that like you are the only person in that space. So I would say other touch points are like introductions. Like, if I have a call with Lauren and Lauren tells me how like her avatar is Michael, and she asks me, she just shares a little bit about, and then after the call, I'm like, oh, I actually know a couple Michaels. I make a couple introductions for Lauren to Michael because that's added value to her. It doesn't really benefit me, but it benefits her, and it makes me look like a hero with Michael because Michael wants to work with someone like Lauren, some facilitating introductions. So that's another touch point. So build out all of your touch points, like make a big document and write every possible touch point that you can have with all of your prospects or your clients. And then always use that as a way to know what's next and what you're going to do.
Awesome. Thank you. And what was the name of that email client you just used?
Superhuman. So it's a paid email client. It's about $30 per employee per month. We like it because it has a lot of fancy things that helps me work faster. I'm willing to pay money for speed, for time. Cool. All right. The next one, mistake number 4. It'll tie in a little bit with what I said. Giving up too soon. That is a mistake. So this goes back to how bad do you want them? If you want them bad enough, you keep going. But I would say for most people, stop at touch point 14 or 15. At that point, it's a dead lead. You don't delete people from your system ever. You keep adding to them. So you can nurture them through your email sequences, through automation, through tools like HubSpot or MailChimp and things of that sort. But do not add people to your email list without their permission. That is illegal, and I hate when people do that. So don't do that. Only if they've expressed interest in your products and services or have opted in themselves, that's fine. Otherwise, don't go buying a list of emails and adding them and sending them stuff. That's called spam. It's against the law. So we're clear. Only add it if they're interested. I add people only if they express like, hey, I am interested. I want to buy your products and services. So don't give up too soon. Know in your mind, it's going to take a minimum of 9 touches, maximum go up to 15. Cool. Mistake number 5, winging it. I don't care if you've been in business for 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years. Don't wing it. Like, it's a horrible idea. Follow a script every single time you call. Always. It sounds unprofessional when you're winging it. Don't type out your script, follow the script all the time. It's good. It's a good example for your colleagues in the office. It helps set some structure for everybody. And you've got a process, right? You want to build 100 McDonald's? Well, you can't cut the fries differently at all the McDonald's. It doesn't work that way. They've got to be the same fries at all of the McDonald's. The salt has to be the same. It can't be too salty or undersalted, right? So don't wing it. Follow a script. Formalize your script. Read the script for everything. For your follow-ups, to your voicemails that you leave, to your text messages, to the first 5 sentences of your phone call. Don't wing it. Make sure you write all these things down, because as you start reading these scripts and practicing them on people, you'll quickly find all your problems and issues, and you'll start updating and fixing it and optimizing it. These documents that you create, these are living, breathing documents. It's not, I made it once and it's done. No, you use them every time. Before I have every call, I pull up my sales document, and it tells me all the things I need to make sure I have open and all the stuff I need to do. It tells me to make sure I've got my inbox open with the script, the template in there, so I can keep filling it out while I'm on my call. It tells me to open up a sales tool I use to record the audio that transcribes it in case I miss something. So you got to make sure you have your process for what your products and your services. Okay. Mistake number 6. I'm going to go through these kind of quick because I want to get questions from you guys so that I could help connect things for your challenges. So mistake 6. Talking to the wrong people. Okay, so this kind of ties to the perfect avatar. So you want to make sure that even if you're talking to your Amy, it's critical that you understand the difference between qualifying and discovery. Just by raise of hands visually for those who have your cameras up, does anybody know what the difference between the two are? Discovery, qualifying versus discovery? Nobody, no hands up. Okay, so this is a good one. So if I find this Amy, because she kind of meets the mold of what I'm looking on, I researched her on LinkedIn. She looks like she works at a company with 100 employees or 500 employees. Her title says she's the marketing officer. On paper, it's like, wow, this is my Amy. I need to be working with her. But here's the part that screws people up. You need to qualify this Amy. So I'll give you a dating analogy because it's the easiest. So in order for me to decide whether or not I want to go on many dates or have a serious long-term, I need to go on a first date, right? I need to have coffee with her or a phone call at the least, right? To get to know if this is the right person, if this is who she says she is, right? So in that qualifying process, I'll share with you the process I follow and the things I'm looking to extract from her on that call to be sure she's a good fit for me. So I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Give me a quick minute. So there's only like four areas that you want to try to find out about for during that qualifying call. So let me share my screen. Let me first pull this up and I'll share it. Alrighty, share screen. Cool. All right, you guys can see my screen, yeah? Awesome. So here are the four things that I look when I'm qualifying people. Their budget. Do they have money? I don't care. If they have 500 employees, they might be going bankrupt. They might be in a lot of debt. I don't know that. I need to qualify, make sure they do have money for my products and my services. I need to find out who is in charge. Who's the decision maker? I don't want to talk to like that Amy if John is actually in charge and she's kind of the gatekeeper, and I just need to make sure. I need to know if they have a real problem that I could solve. I need to know how many they need. I need to be sure that I have the solution for their needs, right? I need to know the timing. Are they looking to place an order today or 6 months from now? Because if it's 6 months from now, that's fine too. I'll be around. I'll be in business. I'll just not follow up with her every 4 days or every week or every 2 weeks. I'll space out my sales cadence and my follow-up sequence because I have timing, right? I know when they need what they need, and leading up to their event date, I can nurture them appropriately, right? So I don't need to hurry to the post office to drop this thank you card and this gift box or whatever because their event is 6 months out, 12 months. I can do it next week if I want, right? I can take my time. It helps me understand how I need to work with my other leads. So essentially it's budget, authority, need, and timing. These are the 4 areas I'm looking to qualify. Now, once I understand these 4 areas, these 4 elements, what I'm looking to then do is go into the discovery phase. So discovery is, okay, this Amy fits what I want to work with her. Now let's get into the details, right? So I'm giving you all these examples from my business because it's the easiest for me, but try to relate it to what you're selling, your products and services. It doesn't matter what it is. In our business, if people are looking to do gifting or they're looking to do swag boxes, I need to know, hey, how many remote employees do you have? You know, when are you looking to send these? How often are you looking to send these? What are the types of things that your team has done in the past? You know, I need to just get into the details. How many colors are in your logo? Do you want us to do the design work? Tell me about the design. I just want the nitty gritty details during discovery. These are 2 separate calls. You can do them on one call if she's perfect and she fits, she qualifies right off the bat. If an Amy calls me and says, hey, I've got, you know, $100 budget per person. We've got 100 employees. We need this stuff next week. Boom. She's qualified herself. She's told me she's got money. She needs to spend it. And she's calling me. You're qualified. I don't need to go. I do want to know if there's other authority and decision makers, because that's going to help me in my process to close the deal. If I don't know all the people, all the players on the table, it's really hard. I might be working with the wrong person, or it might be a person that's talking to other people. I just need to know all the decision makers. It makes my job easier because I'm going to connect with all those decision makers on LinkedIn. I'm going to do something to be memorable with those folks, right? So qualify people appropriately and then do discovery. Create a formal process for both of these things. Mistake number 7, establish a sales process that works. You don't know what a sales process is? We'll cover it a little bit. So you can Google any sales process. Google example of sales process. It's basically a process that you follow during your, so kind of what I'm sharing, it's like your approach and contact, or your process could be identifying your avatar, researching them, and then approach and contact. And then once you contact them, they're the next steps that you follow in your sales process in order to close them. Maybe there's a presentation in between. Maybe it's sending samples in between. Then there's another follow-up. So you're kind of building out this entire flow, and then you follow it consistently. So prospect, prepare, approach them, present to them, address their objections, close them, follow up with them, after following up, like after you've delivered your product service, you go back and be like, hey, can I get a referral, please? Can I get a review? It'll help me a lot. Like that should be a part of your process. If you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table. If your stuff is as good as you think it is or say it is, go back and ask them for a referral. Ask them for feedback. Hey, what else can I do to get better? How else can I serve you better? Like, don't take what I'm saying, because I made all these mistakes. So I'm telling you, don't hear me and not take the action. Literally make sure in your process, it says, ask them for a referral. I asked for a referral during my first call, my second call, my third call, my fourth call, after the sale, before the sale, during the sale. I ask them all the time. I don't care if I'm obnoxious if I'm asking for a referral, because my stuff is so good. I believe in it. If you believe in it, you should ask. If your stuff isn't good, find something else to sell, right? So if you have conviction in your products and services, ask for referrals. That's a bonus one for you guys. Cool. So those are 7 mistakes. Covered 7 of them. So I'd love to get your guys' feedback or questions if you want to put them in the chat while I get some water. Any questions, any certain scenarios you guys have that you want to share? You can unmute yourself if you want to, speak it out or type it out or whatever you want to do.
That was awesome, Z.
Thank you.
I love when we've had conversations outside of this, obviously, and I love when you talk about how you manage your employees too, getting them into these same kind of training and cadences and habits.
It's a work in process. It's like we have stuff. It's not perfect. Nobody's stuff is perfect. Like things are changing. Like we're adapting. We're pivoting. Like we're selling PPE right now. Like it's just different. Like it's different times we live in. So you continuously evolve. That's why I say all your documents are living, breathing documents. They don't die after you write them once. You need to reflect back, go back to them, update them, use them. Like use them. Like have the mindset that like you might die tomorrow. And if you do you want to screw your partner, your husband, your wife, your best friend, whoever you're starting your business with? Probably not. So take what's in your brain, put it on paper, make videos, take your cell phone out, make a video yourself, explaining how you're doing, what you're doing. If you're packaging boxes, there is a way to pack boxes. Believe it or not, I thought that it's common sense. Oh, of course you can tape the box. I used to warehouse everything out of my apartment when I lived in Chicago. I had employees come into my apartment. We had hundreds of boxes in my kitchen, hundreds, because I didn't want to get a warehouse space and I couldn't afford it. And so the employee would come in, you'd pack, and I'm like, dude, you're packaging this completely wrong. Like, what do you mean? It's like, you got to tape this much and it's this amount of tape. And like, so we created a formal process, right? We built out an SOP, equipment needed, scissors, tape, boxes. So we created like an entire like flow for it. Even though it's common sense, it would suck if someone drove an hour away to come package these stuffs and they don't have scissors and I don't have scissors, right? So like you want to anticipate and build out your process for everything that you're working on. So we've got a question here. What's the right way to ask? Are you the right person to speak? It sounds kind of crispy. Is there a way to ask that? So it sounds like you're cold calling. And I don't know if that's the most efficient way to do it. What we do at our businesses, and we're starting to formalize this process, is doing cold email outreach. So it's the same thing like on a phone call, but you do it through email instead. And the way you know it's the right person is because you know your avatar. So we're not emailing the people in warehousing, right? We're not calling IT recruiters. They don't buy from us. They don't care about this stuff. That's not, someone else deals with it. So target exactly who you want to sell, right? Find their name, and if you want to call them, fine. Do your research online and find out who that person is. But like if you're doing cold calling, like there's a lot of tips and strategies you could find on YouTube on this, but like you want to be curious. You want to pretend like you know the person. Like, hey, I'm just following up with John. Is he available? Like that might be enough to get you through. But if the gatekeeper is really good, you're not going to get through. So you got to nurture that gatekeeper. So I mean, you've got to decide what you want to do, what your brand voice is, and you can be weird and wacky. It just depends on your product, your services, how you want to be presented. So hope that answers that. Anything else? Come on, guys. Give me a tough one.
Well, I've got my question. I don't know if maybe I should wait till last, but I saw your Facebook post obviously yesterday, and you asked, or you said, why people should start a business during a pandemic. And I want to repeat it here so people can see it. But why should you start a business during a pandemic?
Sure. So the reason I posted that, it came up. So I was recently accepted in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. So it's an accelerator for companies that do over $500,000 in revenue and have more than 4 employees full time. And there's some criteria for it. And so we were reviewing, we were talking about this. So I thought it was relevant to just share that. And so there's plenty of historic data that during a recession or during a pandemic or during these things, that it's not, you have way more opportunity now to start a company than you would when there is no recession, right? Right now, people are getting laid off left and right. Guess what? That's amazing talent. There's so much talent that's getting laid off because people can't keep them afloat. So now you can get all this labor, right? And you can get them for cheaper, right? They're like, you can get good people at a fair rate or an affordable rate if you're a mission-driven company. You give them enough reason to come work for you. But there's just the reasons I listed out were the rent is cheaper. You can negotiate everything, literally everything. Find great talent. You have lower interest rates. The banks will help you out. Everybody, you can get an SBA loan. All right, there's people are still buying is the thing. Like, people are still buying. They might not be buying from you because you're probably not doing enough outreach, or you're not following up enough. You quit too early and all these mistakes. I mean, you're targeting the wrong people. There's plenty of business available. There's no question. I mean, I can go just look at the publicly traded companies. We've got plenty of competitors that are publicly traded that do well over 100 million annually in sales. I can just see like the graph and see where their dip was and when they started excelling. And I'm nowhere in in the revenue area that these competitors are. And so people are buying. You need to be in front of your clients. So it's the same survival rate as if you were to start your business 5 years ago versus today. So like, there's no better time. You should just start if you haven't.
What other questions do we have for Zee? Lauren, this is the time. You got very little in terms of attendance, so you can take up some time here.
I know, I'm so creepy. So I was like frantically making notes. No, I mean, I did ask the question about figuring out who the right person is, because one of the points that you made was about on the qualifying call, how you kind of have those bullet points you're looking at: budget, authority, need, and timing. And so that's where I was coming from. I think that our hope is that we have a lot of inbound, well, a lot. We have targeted the right people. Maybe we get some inbound, leads from the targeting that we'll be doing. But I think, I don't know. I really lack the format of the budget, authority, need, and timing on that kind of initial call to make sure, if somebody doesn't want to do something for 2 years, that I'm not starting it to beat them down,
Yeah, it just helps you save a lot of time. That's the whole point. If they're not a good fit, they're not ready today, you move on.
Yeah. This is really good info.
What other types of time-saving tools do you use as part
Yeah,
of
that's good.
So there's a ton of tips I can give you on this. One, go buy the most expensive, fastest computer you can buy. I do that. So definitely update your computer as frequently as your budget allows, because those seconds and minutes add up. Number two is, this is my trackpad on my Mac, okay? I adjust the settings to the very max. Like, as fast as that cursor can go, I've got it maxed out. And let me tell you, this is hard to get a hang of for the first 30 minutes. After that, it is smooth. Only you will be able to run this machine here. Don't let your husband or boyfriend or any girlfriend or, use your mouse. They won't be able to control the wheel. But that's one tip. Maximize your cursor speed. One of my favorite tools on Google Chrome, which is the primary browser that I use, is called One Tab. Now, if you're like me, your brain, you've got 100 tabs in your brain open. I've got 100 open right now. I've got 100. I'm thinking I've got so much stuff to do after this. Tomorrow, I've got a plan for, team member stuff. I've got a lot going on. So on my computer, I also have a ton of tabs open. So One Tab, what it does is it consolidates all these tabs that are open and collapses them into one tab with the links there. So I can get back to them later, and it just stores it there. So, and then it helps reduce your computer space so that your computer runs faster. So there's less lagging on your computer. That's another good one. There's a lot of automation tools like Zapier. You can use those. I schedule appointments all the time, right? With people when I reach out and email them. So a lot of times I'll give them my calendar link. Actually, I'll put in a link here of like all of the tools. So I have a personal blog. I'm trying to get more active on it, but I created a page recently that has like all the tools I use, almost all the tools I use. I'll just put it in the chat box here for everybody, and you can kind of go there and see what's there. But the calendar software I use is in there, and I want to just save time, because time is like the biggest commodity. Like you want to make sure. I also have an article I wrote about Lifeline. So as you're running your business and doing sales and you get stuck places, that article will be really, really good for you. It's called Lifelines, Unlimited Lifelines, how to unstuck yourself no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, I mean, even like your Superhuman example for the process of what you're doing while mid-call, taking your notes. I find that to be super intriguing. Obviously, I use a notebook, right? And, Lauren will know this. Larry's a big note taker.
Yeah.
Larry, as we're trying to develop our sales force of all the entrepreneurs that we deal with in the ecosystem, how do I get Larry's big old notebook into the sales if he doesn't like having his computer open?
Yeah, that's a problem. So like what he needs to build, and I've had meetings with Larry one-on-one too, and I noticed that he writes everything down in there, but I already know that he's busy and I needed something from him. I wanted introductions from him, and I knew that if I didn't email him, and I tested it, I had multiple meetings. The ones I didn't follow up on, I didn't hear back from him. The ones I did email him, he replied to every email. Every email. He's replied to every email I've sent him. But if I need something, I'm going to initiate it. It's like the same thing. I've been to probably 10,000 plus networking events in my life. That was how I kind of grew my business, was event, shake hands, give everybody a business card. Out of like maybe 100,000 cards I've given out, maybe one person has ever reached out from a business card. I don't ever order business cards. Yeah. You want to sell to somebody, you get their information, you follow up. It's your job.
So there's plenty of Larrys in the world, right? That like they are incredible note takers.
You got to build a system, a process. Phone call happens. I end the call. What's the very next step in your process? Data, the notes go into your CRM. They're time-stamped and saved. Then you email the client, or you email the client and then move your notes. So our process, we send the email, and because the email is structured in that cool way where it's broken down, when I put it into our CRM, my whole team sees it. And then now they know what they need to do, because I could just assign it from the CRM. We have an ERP CRM combined into one tool. So we just kind of put it inside there. Here's a really cool touch point we do. I send video emails all the time. All the time.
Oh, that's
I'm like,
cool.
Hey, Lauren, it was awesome chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
That's a good idea.
Cool. I love doing video emails. People love it. Like I get nothing but positive. Plus, like when you're so digital, I can't have coffee with you, but like I can make a video and you can see me, make sure, I'm human, I'm real, right? That I build a connection with you. So now if I've had an in-person meeting with you, a video would be awesome. If you're a super high value prospect, a video is appropriate. If they've never replied back to my first or second or third email, I have to decide whether or not it's worth my time to come up with something to say and to send it over video.
Yeah.
So
is there a tool that you use for that video?
yeah, all the links are inside that page toolkit I put in there. There's another one right below it called Otter too. If you just go to my link, you'll get like a free lifetime account with 300 minutes a month too. So we use a tool called Otter. It auto transcribes every meeting. So if I turn it on right now, it'll transcribe every word every person says on this call for free. For free.
Real? That's what
Yes.
I was, okay, I looked that up.
So just go to my link. Just go to my link to get the free. If you use my link, you get the free 300 minutes a month. Or 500 minutes a month.
Oh my God.
And it records the audio too. So if the transcription didn't understand a word properly, go back and click play on it and you could edit it.
That's cool. So you were talking about knowing your customer, and I think one thing, so we're kind of diving into the franchise space, but we're really targeting the multi-unit operators. So not necessarily somebody who's new to franchising, but preferably somebody who is, had some experience in this space. And I think that's kind of driven from the fact that the people who have shown interest have been like multi-unit Zaxby's operators, things like that. And so I built out what I thought would be a sales process that would work, but it has a lot of like, fill out this form and things like that I don't think, as I've been listening in on these, I don't think our target customer, the multi-unit person who is busy, who probably already has 10 or 15 stores doing something, they're not going to fill out the form. So I guess thinking through something like that, I could probably use to just gather data on the phone.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. You can do quiz funnels online where people can qualify themselves. They answer 3 or 4 or 5 questions online. Yeah. At the end of it, if they're not a good fit, like it just says, hey, you're not a good fit to work with us, right? I've seen clients of ours bribe people with Yeti mugs with their logo on it and says, hey, you joined this webinar for an hour, we'll give you this Yeti mug at the end of it.
Yeah.
Our company makes it and mails it out to those people. There's lots of ways. The National Restaurant Association has a multi-unit franchising restaurant booth or section every year in Chicago.
Oh, really?
For restaurants, yeah. And my bad.
We were supposed to go to that. It got canceled.
Yep. So, but where those people are hanging out. So, like, there might be a club or an organization. Like, you want to build out your dream customer avatar and then figure out where they're hanging out. If you have existing customers, ask them, where do you hang out? What are your problems? What are your challenges? Why do you want more franchises? Like, how else are you investing your money?
Yeah, that's good.
With those avatars, did you say there was a problem with having more than one? Like, you always update your Amy, but is there a problem with making an Amy and a Bob
No, so everyone should have at least 2. So you have one that's for your prospecting and you should have another one for hiring. So one of the biggest mistakes for businesses in general is they don't hire properly. They don't know how to hire. They don't know what they're looking for. They think they know what they're looking for. Oh, I want a hardworking person. It's too vague. Like, what do you need them to do? What are the outcomes you want them to achieve? What type of skill set should they have? What type of experience? Build out an avatar for each job role. Like, for every job role, you should have an avatar built out. It should state like all the challenges that they're going to face, how they can overcome them. What are the outcomes to those? Like, build out. And if you're selling to multiple people, build out as many avatars as you need. But the goal is to be very clear about who you're targeting. That's the ultimate purpose for that document, is to know exactly who you're servicing. So take a look at that toolkit. I think there's some cool tools on there that we use that you might find helpful. And then, you're welcome to subscribe to the blog too. I probably send an email once a month if that.
Like, when do you have time to do this?
Huh?
Like, keep up a blog.
Trackpad.
With peeling bananas everywhere. This is hysterical.
So that's my brand. So you've got to find your thing, whatever your thing is, and do that. Be radically different. I couldn't find another guy on the internet juggling bananas, so I wanted to be that guy.
That's the fruits of my labor. Are you in Louisville? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions for Zee? Awesome. Well, I'm gonna hit stop on